So you're both full of rage?
I'm pretty grumpy.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, that's a good way to start. Let's let's kick things off. Welcome to So Uncouth, a podcast filled with conversations you can't have in polite company or even calm company, because this is going to be a rager. I'm Victoria Hannaford, a recovering journalist. I'm with Caroline Craig, an actor who's ready to burn up your ear holes.
I'm mad.
And our friend, the mysterious Bunsen burner, who should probably hand out a hazmat suit if she ever offers you a lift.
Oh, you know what? That's going to make me grumpy. Everything's making me grumpy today. I'm in a very contrary mood.
Well, look, we're three friends. We've been friends for a long time, so I reckon we can ride this storm together.
Will we be friends after this? That's what I want to know.
We are three friends who live in three different cities, and you're joining our weekly catch-up, and we're delighted you're here with us. Now, Bunsen, look, let's get straight into it. I don't think you need a hazmat suit. I was just throwing it out there because I have heard from you that someone still believes that your car and the mouldy roll trumped a dog-soiled car. Is that correct?
I don't know whether or not the mouldy roll trumped a car that was covered in... I can't even talk. That's how
dog poop.
Grumpy I am. Okay.
She's mad as hell.
If there's a competition between two cars, one's covered in dog shit, the other one's got a mouldy roll in it, I think we all know which is the most uncouth. However, what happened was that you guys, last week when I presented you with the mouldy roll, a photograph of it, which had been sort of perhaps passively aggressively texted to me. Or just texted to me, let's face it, just texted.
Yeah, just shared. It was data.
Yeah, exactly. Information. That you guys were just both like, oh, is that all? You're very underwhelmed by the mouldy roll. Now, either you're looking after my feelings or you are also uncouth, because another friend who I showed this mouldy roll to was dry retching when she saw it. She was like, she couldn't, you know, like when someone takes your phone and then they put their hand over their mouth and then sort of like start to convulse. It was one of those.
No.
I don't know if that's ever happened to you before.
That's crazy. E.T. is my favourite movie, right? It's one of my favourite movies when I was growing up. And it just made me think of E.T., that little thing in that role. And it also
it looked like E.T.?
Yeah, it did. It did a bit.
or you used to eat mouldy rolls whilst watching E.T. I'm really struggling with this.
And then you could just emulate that entire like end sequence of the film where everyone's in hazmat suits and E.T. has to go into the sort of, that's really the saddest bit of the movie. But, you know, everyone's safe. No one's getting any extraterrestrial spores.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone can take what they like from a mouldy roll, obviously.
Look, our ultimate retort on this is that we have a podcast. It's called So Uncouth. So that's fairly clear in terms of branding and alignment. That's stating our position quite neatly, I would have thought, so everyone can calm down. I don't know why anyone's surprised about this. And we are also, because we are three ladies with three microphones, we're the arbiters, all right? So what we say goes. And
except for the couth. I want to hear what the couth thinks.
That's right. That was what I was getting to.
Oh, God, you're grumpy now too. Jesus.
No, if yous out there, the couth, if yous have got something to say, hit us up. We'd like to hear about it. I don't know if we'll, agree with you, but, let's start some beef. Some beef in the community. souncouthpod@gmail.com. Come at us. Which is worse? Who's the most uncouth? We need to know.
Where can we see evidence of the roll? I mean,
Insta.
It needs to be published.
Do you know what? I should find out if my friend has photographic evidence of the poo all over the back seat of the car.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Points of comparison. That's what I want.
I think that everyone's imagination can take them there. I don't know. We might get booted off Instagram for violating community guidelines if we post that. So, and the mouldy roll, to be honest, we're about to find out. But I'm you know what? I am ropeable as well. You're right, Bunsen. I am full of rage about this theoretical smackdown that we've had from the couth community and that we're about to get. We're inviting to ourselves. And I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore.
And, there's another kind of learning here, which is, I believe,
a key learning,
as this progresses, that the uncouth is the new couth.
That's
what
correct.
We thought was uncouth is actually couth. That's what I'm fighting for.
Oh, my God. I feel like we're heading into double negative territory.
I know.
We're going to be out logicked.
Don't let Victoria onto this.
Well, I was thinking about that a lot this week, because if we are the arbiters of couth and we're so uncouth, but we think that's good, does couth mean bad? Yeah, I was a real pretzel, mentally speaking, after
I
that.
think you've got to ask a 15-year-old with a bong that question.
Yeah. At which point they will go, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Couth, uncouth, we're all one, bruh. All right. Well, given you both probably have PTQD, which is post-traumatic quiz disorder, after last week, I've got a really easy one for you, okay? So it's a really easy one. It is just a simple multiple choice quiz for you both, all right?
I'm feeling a bit tense.
I know. Relax. Should we do a deep breath?
Sorry.
Wow. Something really came out of you then, Bunsen, spiritually speaking. I hope in no other sense. All right. Multiple choice. Mm-hmm. Choose the real message from my recent electronic communications. Was it A message that said, don't forget to take the meatballs out of your pocket? Or B, upcoming period. Your period may start any day in the next 2 weeks.
That's really handy. That's a handy notification.
Very helpful. Or C, Victoria, buy 5 McCain frozen products. Or D, all of the above.
D, all of the above.
Those algorithms know you, Victoria. They know you.
You know what? They know that when you get your period, you'd like to eat McCain's pizza and meatballs.
I was so offended by the frozen goods one. Can I just tell you, I really regret ever signing up to Flybys or any of these, right? Any of these things I think I've signed. My data is way too out there. I've never bought a McCain's frozen product.
Not yet.
That's why they're telling you to buy 5 of them. So are we correct? Did we pass the test? I always like to know. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct. Well done, Bunsen.
Yeah.
I didn't befuddle you.
She's mastered it.
Oh, my God. What?
Has that taken the edge off your rage?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's made her more angry.
I need something to get stuck into. Just give me something to rant about. All right.
Okay. What's something that you signed up for, a la these kinds of silly schemes, that you regretted immediately after? Maybe being high maintenance. That was something I found very difficult when I signed up to getting fake nails. I realised that wasn't for me. It was a lifestyle choice that really interfered with my kayaking at the time. Bunsen.
But kayaking, were you even kayaking?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to believe.
She was standing up in that kayak. I know.
I knew you were going to rake me over the coals about that, Bunsen. Well, listen, let me make it easy for you.
Okay.
What about law school? Because that is something you yeeted in and out of pretty quickly. What were your thoughts? Was it LA Law? Was it Ally McBeal? What led you down that path, Bunsen, and what led you quickly away from it as well?
I think we actually led her away from it. We're the bad eggs.
I don't believe I'd met either of you two formally by that time. So
spiritually, though, we will call it to you.
I'd met you in the North Court, mate. I met you when you're in your school uniform. You weren't even at the university yet.
That's right. You did. You met me when I was hanging out at uni when I was still at school.
She was already there.
In my school uniform. What a fucking idiot. Anyway.
Grinding out a cigarette butt on the North Court, going, yeah, I'm in a band, whatever. I gotta get back. I think I've got geography.
You know why I did spend a lot of time at it? Because I used to study after school at
Melbourne Uni.
At Melbourne Uni in the library, because basically the only reason that I ticked a box that said law was to prove that I could. And that's what I was doing. I mean, that's what I was doing at uni, was studying really hard so I would get the marks to prove that I could. But then once I was there, I just realised that it's like getting to the top of a mountain and then looking around and going, this view's all right, but now
There's
I'm here,
another
so
mountain
what?
over there. Yeah.
Or not even. I just actually want to lie down. I don't actually want to climb any mountains. That was really hard, and I'm ready to spend 6.5, possibly 7 doing an arts degree.
I'm going to go to that rounded hill of the arts degree. that rounded grassy hill where everyone's stoned and passed out.
Exactly. I'm just going to go and lie down.
Called South Lawn.
relax.
That's
Yeah.
what it's called.
Yeah.
So, Bunsen, when you sort of hit that peak of that mountain and you decided not to kind of continue anymore, was that because year 12 you put so much effort into it, you realised it wasn't sustainable, or you saw another path? Like, what was that decision?
There was no other path. It was all kind of just like a free form, whatever. I mean, there was a peak. And I'm quite similar to Boris Becker, I think, in the sense that, Boris Becker, he won Wimbledon when he was 17. He peaked. That's how early he peaked, right? And then, it's pretty hard to peak when you're young, And that's kind of what happened to me. Basically, I just put so much pressure on myself that I needed a big lie down. And I was also just like the end game was getting there. And then once I was there, first of all, I did get a couple of the books and the paper was really thin. Like it was like Bible thin or like
because there was so much info to get out, wasn't there?
Yeah, that I found that just that was kind of a bit of a red flag for me. Just the thinness of the pages in those books, because there was going to be a lot to get through. But also, to be honest, I remember being there and sitting, and I think it was in a class, and there were 40 people, and we all had to go around and say our names and why we were doing law. And people had either really stupid, made-up reasons. But then there was a whole lot of them that were kind of like, law runs in the family. And then the law lecturer would be like, oh, yeah, I think I know your dad. Blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, this is gross. Then there was one woman who said, and she was a mature age student, which probably meant she was 22. But, these people seemed really old and like a foreign species at that time. And she said, I work in a women's shelter. I've done all of this stuff. The only, I deal with victims of domestic violence all the time. And I feel like I can't do anything more unless I understand the law. And I looked at her and I went, that is a reason to do law. But
she sounds awesome.
Maybe one day I will be that altruistic person. But I'm honest about the fact I am not that altruistic person right now because I actually just want to go and have a lie down. And
in the women's room. And play some drums.
Exactly. Yeah. I just was like, that is a reason to do this. But the rest of it is not. And then it came around to me. I was one of the last people and they kind of went, oh, so why are you doing law? And I pretty much had an answer that was just like, I actually really don't know. And from that point on.
That's fair enough, mate. How old were you? 18?
Yeah, it's honest.
From that point on, that was it.
I think around about that time we might have formed Vinyl Discharge, our band.
Oh.
And that comes to my greatest regret.
What's your greatest regret? Forming a band with me?
Yeah. No. Being the treasurer of the band.
Oh.
Which meant that
what kind of a band has a treasurer? I mean,
know.
That is not rock and roll.
I'm with you. And now I'm angry. How dare they make me treasurer of the band?
Who was the secretary? Who was the chairperson? Did we have a quorum?
We always had quorum. We didn't have decorum.
I was waiting for that. Yeah.
No, because we get the money after the gig, high on life.
What money?
High on a few of those original hits. What money?
What money? Caroline, is there a fraud that you've committed? I was never aware of any profit.
Back to the barman and said, can I have 5 jugs of beer? That's what would happen every time. And that was okay for 1 or 2 gigs. But then it became pretty clear that this was a zero-sum game. And we were
You mean were we coming to the realization that as musicians, we were not going to be able to make a living? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, but we lived. Huh? That's the main thing. We were having fun. We're singing some songs. You were smashing out the drums. It was great. But I lost my voice. That's why it's really husky even to this day, 20 years later.
to know.
Still never got over
I
it.
just want to come back to this treasurer business. Firstly,
Treasurer of the band. Never be treasurer.
is it?
And then you know what? You know how I got around it? I got into drama school and I went into state. Boom. Flight race.
You ran off with the
I
cash.
was on the lam,
Are you a
man.
criminal crossing state lines?
In my VW Beetle, just driving as fast as I could. You know the thing about that VW Beetle? It could fit the drum kit in the back of it.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
That was good.
There's nothing better than a drummer who doesn't have a driver's license or a car. And that was me.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic of the genre.
Because
You enjoyed those beers, didn't you? Come on. You enjoyed those beers.
oh mate,
I don't understand how this happened, Caroline. Like, none of it makes any
can we
sense.
just pedal back here? There is a couple of big things that need to
Exactly.
be unpacked. Firstly, were you a self-appointed treasurer? Was the word treasurer ever used? And secondly, who was giving you the money and where had it come from?
We had loyal fans. Don't you remember? We just should have come out with some merch. That's the only difference between our band and the Pentecostal church. We didn't have enough merch. We really should have got our merch out there, and we would have had, like, people just would have been they were already doing the spirit fingers.
Maybe you should have
People loved us.
Maybe you should have been a federal treasurer because you are avoiding all of my questions like a fucking politician, Caroline.
Pivot.
All of a sudden you're talking about merch. I didn't ask you about merch. I asked you who appointed you.
I was the front person at the back. I think I was just standing closest to the front of the stage.
Again, avoiding the question. Who appointed you?
It was an occupational hazard. I was the only one not wearing a suit, and I had
I think it's pretty clear she was self-appointed.
I could put money in.
And where did the money come from? Is this money that was collected at the door? What was the situation?
Yeah, and then it pretty much just went from the door to the bar, just straight in the till. That's what happened.
So you were more of a carrier. You were like a ring bearer. You were just sort of like a water carrier, like a spear carrier, a lesser role in a Shakespeare play.
And what do you want? Do you want money in your hand, or do you want a nice icy cold beer at the end of that?
I think we all know the answer to that.
I was young, okay? Jeez, lay off.
So I've got another question I want to bring
She's
to
quizzing
you
us,
guys.
man.
I know. It's the quiz special, the So Uncouth etiquette quickfire round, although it's never quickfire with us. We seem to go on at length. Another dilemma for both of you. So my sister and I recently had an exchange whereby she felt unable to tell me I was her favourite So Uncouth presenter. Now, I had recently told her to be brutally honest in her feedback, just about the podcast in general. But on this occasion, I felt compelled to tell her to lie to me and just say, yes, you are my favourite, and move on down the road. So my question to you, and perhaps the wider Couth, is when is it okay to lie? Or is there a time when you actually want brutal honesty? So I'm thinking about you in this situation, Caroline. Auditions. Is it normal to be lied to as an actor? Do you just hear as an actor that was great all the time? And would you prefer the raw, unvarnished truth?
Oh, I just hear you're great all the time. That's all I hear.
Even if someone's saying that wasn't great,
That was
you're
terrible.
hearing that it's great.
Yeah.
And
You know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing you're jealous. You wish you were me.
which is a great strategy for life.
You wish you were wearing this dinosaur costume, don't you? Mm-hmm. Just because it's 45 degrees. I'm channeling the prehistoric, mate. It
What's
is
it like in the room?
a race to the bottom, Victoria, in those audition rooms. I recently went into one not so long ago auditioning for a musical, which I'm sure they regretted as I walked in. But I had a lot of fun. Oh, man, auditions are tough, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got a lot of adrenaline. You've got a lot of noise in your head. So what I try to do is I try to go, you know what? Imagine that we're actually already working on this project. And then, of course, it's actually the worst thing to do because then I start cracking a whole lot of gags going, that was terrible. And that's just not a thing to say in an audition. You're like, no, let them decide. You show them the best of you. And it doesn't matter how much they go, that was great. It's so fun working with you. You're like, yeah, goodbye. Thanks. We'll be in touch.
That's what you should say to them at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
So next time,
We'll be in touch.
yeah, exactly. You do your audition, and then at the end you go, thanks for that. Got a lot of other people to see, but I'll let you know. I'll let you know. My people will talk to your people. Thanks. I'll be in touch. And walk out. Turn the
I
tables.
love that.
Turn the
Googled him
tables.
back.
Power play, Bunsen.
Yeah, look, you just got to, you tap dance, you do your thing, and it's all part of the merry ride.
I think it takes an incredible amount of resilience, Caroline.
Same. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I think, one of the reasons I'm really mad at the moment is I'm learning the misogyny speech, Julia Gillard's misogyny speech, because I'm understudying.
What's it called? What's the show called?
It's called Julia.
And where's it on? Is it doing a national tour?
It's going to do a national tour, and the very brilliant Justine Clark is playing Julia, and it is a huge gig. And I've got to say, I've been up in my room going, "Thank you, Deputy Speaker," and I say to the Leader of the Opposition, "I will not." And it's really hard not to blow your lid. And I'm crying, thinking, "My God, this woman, she's so incredibly articulate in the face of this very uncouth man, his repulsive double standards."
Tony Abbott. Yeah, that's an iconic speech, and I think it would be quite it would bring up a lot because
really
she was
does.
so bang on.
She was so bang on, and I think it's really tapping into some inner rage. And I'm like, yeah, actually, yes. Anyway, it's brilliant, and it's really great. And I think that man was uncouth, Tony Abbott, and he got called out big time. So it's quite exciting. It's great doing a role like an understudy gig. That is tough, right? That's going to be tough. Just what's going to be hard? Just shutting up. I find it very hard to shut up. So
you'll be saying it from the wings.
Exactly.
It will be in stereo for those in the audience.
Yeah. Last time I did an understudy gig, the one and only other time I did it, I actually told the lead actress to go on in a different costume. She was about to walk on stage in the wrong outfit, and I had to grab her, help her change her wig, and she ran on. And you know what? Get out. Get out, Caroline.
What do you mean?
You were helping. You were doing the right thing.
Was I helping though?
When you say that, so she actually was initially wearing the right costume, and you told her she was making a mistake.
She turned to me and she went, "Oh, you know what's going on, Caroline. What character am I going on now?" I was like, "Oh, it's brown wig, black jacket, red handbag." And then she was about to walk, and I was like,
"Were you right?"
And I heard the music, and I went, "Oh no, it's green handbag, pink jacket," and I went running. That was
self-appointed treasurer. I see a running theme here. Self-appointed wardrobe mistress.
So I'm just going to shut up. I'm going to shut up and wear my red wig at the back and just shut up.
Bunsen, have you ever had a thought of when you would prefer brutal honesty or a polite lie in recent times?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. I just was more curious about your sister's actual feelings. So when she said, when she thought that your words were she couldn't tell you who was her favorite, was that because she couldn't choose between us or because it was me?
No, she couldn't tell me that I was her favorite. She was unable to say that.
That's such a big sister thing.
I know that she's a devil. And do you know what else? She will just be so excited to be getting another mention on the podcast. So I think we've got to draw a line under it and just assume that her favours are split between the two of you.
Well, you know what? Next time I see her, I'm going to ask her and see if she can lie to my face.
Well, we'll find out. A showdown is coming.
I'm going to buy lots of jugs of beer and champagne.
With whose money, Caroline? With whose money? Is that with final discharge profits?
No, that's a black hole. You will be bankrupt really soon because she's got a real taste for that kind of jazz. So look out. All right. It's time for our So Uncouth of the Week. And look, guys, I have been trawling the internet for items of interest, tidbits of breaking news that might have evaded you both. And I wanted to bring to your attention that Tucker Carlson and Clive Palmer are doing a double headliner and touring our country as if we are not going through enough already. According to some website, US media titan Tucker Carlson and leading Australian businessman Clive Palmer are coming, which is something I would be taking to the ACCC as false advertising because I'm pretty sure Tucker is only live on Twitter. now. And maybe Titan's just a vague word we can throw around. I would just say that he's really much more a noted Putin platformer than a media titan. So, Bunsen, what are your legal thoughts here? Is that false advertising?
Well, when you said they are coming, my mind did go, don't see your face. No, I'm not.
No.
No.
Shut that down.
not-
Shut that
that
down.
was-
You're thinking about Clive Palmer's prostate, aren't you?
That was not.
This is taking a terrible turn.
That was.
I'm going to need counselling.
Is it RSLs? Is it regional?
No, I just
What's
meant.
the tour?
I just meant. Yeah, exactly. That
I'll
was my
get to
question.
that.
Coming
Okay.
to what? To where? That was the.
Okay.
Not.
Okay, so
You know, Jesus Christ, you guys are disgusting.
excuse me. We are so uncouth and proud. All right?
I'm thinking about Clive Palmer's prostate.
Stop it. Stop it.
Now,
It's very damaging thoughts.
that is something that would makes me have a response that others may have to a mouldy role. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So listen, I did some research on tickets and the ticket sales and just the general vibe of the thing. I think it's national. Now, I didn't do a deep dive because, well, I ran out of puff. But I did find out that their tickets are generally around $200 in most venues.
No.
Some are premium at $275. I didn't look at every place because, as I said, I sort of like fritzed out and found it very boring. But they seem to have introduced, so I did a check earlier in the week and a check today, they seem to have introduced a new tier of bronze, which is a much cheaper ticket. So I think we know the direction things are going in here. And just for reference, Taylor Swift was around the $300 mark. So they're charging pretty high prices. So in Cairns, I checked, which I believe would be a heartland for both of these characters, the Titan and businessman. A smattering of seats was sold or unavailable. So it's actually unclear whether any seats have been sold because they were in particular areas where comps would have been given.
They're for us. They're our comps.
Yeah, we're multiplying ourselves.
You are,
and
you are actually giving them some extra publicity at this moment.
Yeah.
Well, no, just wait, because in Adelaide a whole theatre is available. So, Caroline, please take note. You could probably make inquiries if you wanted the venue on the same night and you want to run a rival show in the back. You might want to look into it. There could be a discounted rate available. And I would just say watch this space and look out for an explanation as to why self-described media titan and businessman, why they suddenly can't make it and the tour is pulled. Family reasons? What do we think is coming?
Well, I tell you what's coming is Caroline using that theatre to rehearse her misogyny speech to
She can do
hide
it
the
at the
whole
same
theatre.
time.
at the same time with those. Anyway, I just feel that there's some kind of intersection there. I don't know what's going to happen.
Intersectionality.
Anyway, look, you're right, Bunsen. I'm very sorry for giving them any extra publicity, but it was just merely to note their presence and also to,
What are they going to do? What are they going to talk about?
I think it would be extremely boring. And I just wanted to put it out there as a prediction that very shortly we will be hearing news that it's pulled. And you heard it here first on So Uncouth.
Can I ask what the time frame is, Victoria? What dates are we talking? Roughly.
I'm not sure. Again, I didn't want to get too much in the detail, but I think it's mid-year. So I would say in the next few weeks we'll find out that they're unavailable for unrelated reasons.
Sold out. Sold out. We bought all the tickets.
Okay. That's why I wanted the time frame, because I wanted to see how long we had to prove you right.
Yeah.
You know, often the connection between my predictions and being correct is just time. You know, eventually someone will do something wrong. So if I just say vaguely something bad's going to happen to those two,
Ooh.
eventually I'll be proven right.
Damn, she is a cult leader.
Oh.
And on that note, I'll cop you later.
Copy you later.
Copy.
So